This is Jackie Weisfield, recording for EDL 854, Module 11 on gifts. I first talk about what a gift is, and a gift is considered any goods or services to students or staff that are purchased with school funds. In terms of the definition of goods, goods are anything that will leave with the person. So if the student graduates or the staff member retires and the items leave with that person, that is considered a good. That is a gift. And the most important thing about gifts in education is that they have a nominal financial value. So I first start talking about students and the types of gifts and the rules of thumb for those types of gifts. So starting with incentive types of gifts, these are typically incentives for fundraising, and they are given only to the participants in the fundraiser. So my niece just did a fun run as a fundraiser for her school, and only the participants got the t-shirt. Those who actually raised money for the run. The incentive needs to be age appropriate, and it does not affect the profitability. One of the most important things that came out in the text is that there needs to be a fund and student pairing. And what I mean by that is that if the funds are raised by one organization in the school, like FBLA, then the funds need to be used as gifts for FBLA students. Now, in my current school, that's not really an issue. Most of the time, we are doing fundraisers by our school leadership team, who keeps some of the money for leadership, but ultimately it's meant to go back to the whole student body. And the other fundraising that we do is really meant for the entire student body. So we don't really face a lot of that in my current school, but I have in the past. And the way that these incentive gifts are paid for is with the fundraising profit. And some organizations are willing to do donations with those incentive gifts. The other type of gifts are achievement gifts. Those are also of nominal value. They are also age appropriate. But these are paid for with very different funds. They can come from the general fund, they can come from donations from the community or businesses, and in the case of athletics, they can come from the athletic fund as well. And the goal is really to honor achievements. And so one of the ways that we've done that in my current school are things like an honor roll breakfast we do every quarter. We do attendance awards and movie days for students who have all passing grades and 90% attendance. And so the students get to participate in that. It's a nominal amount per student, and the students really have a great time, and everyone has the opportunity to earn that achievement. And if they don't, we have other activities planned for them as well to work on that. Now for staff, there are 3 types of gifts, and I organize those and their rules of thumb. So again, we have incentive gifts, which will only go to a single participant or some number of participants, and it's often, again, fundraising related and paid for with the fundraising profit. The school gives, or the text gives a guideline of the gift amount being no more than 5% of the profit. You don't want to give away all your profit from the fundraising event. So that means that if you give 10 people this incentive, then that 5% is divided among those 10 people. There are special occasion gifts. Those are weddings, birthdays, babies, any kind of special occasion that you may celebrate or recognize as a staff. A lot of times there are teachers who have deaths in the family over the course of the year, and so those will be paid for with these funds. It's a staff fund. The money is raised by the staff for the staff. It's generally reasonably priced in terms of a gift, and it's decided by committee. A lot of times these committees have dues that are optional. You don't have to participate, but then you don't also benefit from those special occasion gifts. The committees I've heard of are the social committee, the sunshine committee, the remembrance committee, some kind of committee of the entire staff of the school is who decides on where these funds go. And all the staff are invited to participate. For all staff gifts, the money raised is by the staff and for the staff. The staff gifts tend to be token gifts. They tend to be inexpensive, and generally you want no cash or gift cards because those tend to have to go through additional taxes and are considered wages. The things that we've done in the past that would be considered all staff gifts have been little beginning of the year kickoff goodie bags with highlighters and pencils and pens and erasers and whiteboard markers, those kinds of things that you would use in your classroom. And then mid-year we did a little pencil, a present of pencils essentially is what we did, because students are borrowing pencils in class and the teachers needed more pencils, so just wrapped them up in a little bow, put them all in their mailboxes, and they were super excited to get 15 pencils in the middle of the year. So really, again, token gifts, super inexpensive, and generally something they can use in the classroom. The only exception to that I've had are Teacher Appreciation Week gifts. So those are things like we did some really nominal gifts of little plants and made little signs in the plants that said love wins. So that's a really nominal gift. But things that were a little bit more expensive, they reserved a coffee cart and had that come in. They provided breakfast, they provided lunch, they provided little snacks in the teacher's lounge. So those tended to be a little bit more expensive, but still not beyond that $5 limit that the book suggests. Fundraising efforts for a single school member, and this could be a student or a staff member. So I was just really thinking about what you could do in crisis. So when somebody has a tragic life event, the first thing you want to do is really talk to the accounting office to figure out how to deal with this. Ideally, you have a local bank handling the funds. You could have the PTA coordinate the fundraiser on behalf of the school, and you have the potential to work with other community organizations outside the school to handle the fundraising. This means that you then don't have to track the funds in the school's bookkeeping, and that it won't necessarily be tracked as wages for that person if it is a staff member. One thing that the book really kind of glossed over is the use of community, and this is something that's really important in my district. So one thing that the text did talk about was how gifting is viewed by the outside community, and that's really important so that it doesn't look like there's impropriety. But the community can also help with fundraising events. They can donate money to teacher and or student funds for gifts. And interestingly, in board policy, teachers cannot give to or accept from the students or community members gifts greater than $5. So that's a really important thing that our district has put in place just for the safety of teachers. And just so that that they don't get wrapped up in any impropriety. By the time I was finished with this module, I really thought about the fact that you don't have to spend a lot to make someone feel appreciated. And I found this quote I really love. Some gifts are big, others are small, but the ones that come from the heart are the best gifts of all. And I think that really encompasses what teachers feel, and they just really want to feel appreciated. It doesn't take a lot of money to do that. And so I think that's really important for all of us to remember. Thanks for listening, and I appreciate your attention.